brought to you by Bones Coffee Company. You can forget about boring coffee when you drink Bones Coffee. Not only do they offer a variety of flavors such as strawberry cheesecake and maple bacon, they are a family-owned company that puts great detail not only in their coffee, but in the artwork that comes on each individual bag. Bones Coffee has a coffee club that will deliver your favorite coffee to your door every month. If that wasn't enough, they also have some amazing swag to offer. Check out Bones Coffee Company today. I'll have my affiliate links in the show notes for you. Hi guys.
Hello.
We are going live tonight for another True Crime Tuesday episode. I've already got a few people on the line, but I'm going to introduce my co-hosts and my team while we wait for other people to sign on. I have two lovely co-hosts on the line with me. One is a fellow crime writer and victims advocate. Her name's Cricket Andrews. Hi, Cricket. Tell everybody hi.
Hi, everyone.
Cricket and I, we go way back. We've been victims advocates and working true crime and cold cases for years. Now I have a new research assistant who is wonderful. Her name is Tammy. Guys, she's on the line. Say hi to Tammy.
Hi, guys.
All right, and I've already got some comments coming in. Arctic Fox, he says, new sub here. Thank you for covering Derontae. Arctic Fox, hello. I've actually watched some of your stuff. I enjoy your stuff. Thank you for covering these stories as well. I know together we can make a difference in these stories. So Arctic Fox, a great shout out for Arctic Fox on YouTube. Make sure and check out Arctic Fox's channel. Everything I've seen so far is high quality. So thank you for subscribing and thank you for signing on. We've got Venus. Venus, I love you to death. You have been such a supporter for me, even when I stepped away from true crime for a while and come back. Thank you so much. Hi, Marion. Thank you for signing on. Marion Tate. All right, so if you guys, I've got a few more comments coming in. I've got some names coming in. So I've got numbers coming in and comments, but sometimes it doesn't say your name. So sometimes it'll say Facebook user or YouTube user. So make sure and type your name into the comments so I kind of know who I'm talking to, because it just doesn't always come through StreamYard very well. Okay, those of you that are just now signing on and didn't see our commercial, I'm drinking a giant iced French vanilla coffee from Bones Coffee. Make sure and check out Bones Coffee. We talk about it every week, and I got one person put a hateful comment on there, and I'm like, look, we have to pay the bills, and I do that by advertising Bones Coffee and by selling books. And so I do all of this work for free. I do all the research, all the running for free. And I help victims' family members any way that I possibly can, and I never ask a dime. So that's how I pay my bills. So check out Bones Coffee if you want to support the channel. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and share this to a couple more places just to make sure we are going strong here. So I want you guys to tell me in the comments how many of you guys have been following the Derontae Martin case, and how many of you guys seen the disturbing results from the FBI. How many of you guys have seen that recently? And give me a comment here so I know you're watching. Okay, there we go. Let's share that. There, I'm going to share it. Okay, I'm going to share it one more spot, and we will be off to the races. Okay. Okay. So, Arctic Fox says, I just had a huge caramel macchiato with 4 espresso shots. Any more caffeine and I'll be in the ER. It sounds like it. Oh, my goodness. I can't say much, though. Today, I've had a pretty stiff schedule and trying to get my workouts in and everything, and this is my second giant one of these. So I have it. So Arctic Fox says, yes, I've seen it, followed it, covered it on my channel. Yes, everybody, make sure you check out Arctic Fox when you're done watching the show. Okay, we got a few people signed on, so let's get talking here. I want you to encourage you to put your comments in. because at the end of every show, I give away one of my books to one of the people that have commented. So you never know, your comment may be the one that's chosen. Tonight, I'm trying to decide which one of these I'm going to give away. I've got Shattered Case Files book, I've got Grim Justice, and I have Snatched, which is an art crime book. So make sure and put your comments in there, and you may end up getting a free book before everything's done. Okay, our numbers are starting to boost, so we're going to jump right in. Today, we are talking about what happened with the Derontae Martin case when the FBI has so-called gotten involved. Now, for those of you that haven't been following this and you want to know what's going on, I have a YouTube video that I can post the link. Or Cricket, you or Tammy, if you want to go grab the link and put it in a comment, that would be great. Grab the link to my Derontae Martin YouTube video if you don't mind. Now, that video we go over, and that was the beginning of my deep dive into the rabbit hole of corruption around Madison County. Derontae was the first one. And those of you can't see it because it's behind, along my wall, I've got a murder board started with all the strings and everything, connecting everything. And I'm going to run out of wall space by the time I get out of Madison County. It's just dreadful. But Derontae Martin, just for an overview, he was brought in to a person's house by a former friend, someone that he didn't know very well. He was brought into that house. He was uncomfortable and wanted to leave. His so-called friend didn't allow him to leave. And then all of a sudden, he ends up shot to death in the attic of this house in a crawl space. Nobody seems to consider the fact that his dominant arm was in a cast. Nobody seems to consider the fact that, there was at least one, perhaps two other so-called slayings at this house. And what we have to avoid the S word for YouTube. But basically, today we were going over some information, and the FBI has made a public announcement that Derontae Martin was the shooter. This was something he did himself, and they have basically said, we agree with law enforcement. Now, here is the problem, and this is what I want you guys to know. I knew from the beginning that this was a likely outcome. Now, I got all kinds of messages when the news came out. Everybody was upset. Everybody was really disturbed and heartbroken. I was not surprised. I was not surprised at all, because you have to kind of understand how the FBI works, and you have to understand that this case it's only one piece of a giant corruption puzzle. Okay, and we handed the FBI Hate Crimes Division one piece of a puzzle. They said, oh, it's not a hate crime. He did it to himself, and they're done. Now, I guarantee you, there's a 99% chance that no FBI boots ever hit the ground in Madison County. That's not the way they do things. There are massive amounts of FBI agents, and you think, okay, they're going to just swoop in and take care of things. But that's not the way it works. Okay, the FBI can only take so many cases. So they have gatekeepers. And these are basically FBI agents that are at a desk. They're pencil pushers, basically. They go through files, they look at cases, and they are trying to decide which cases to take and sink FBI resources into. Okay. Now, when this was sent in as a hate crime, I had a feeling that they didn't have enough evidence to prove that. So they were just going to dismiss it. Now, I do believe that there is a division in the FBI that can help us if we can get their attention. So I already have a game plan in mind. I have done this kind of thing before. I have written about over 300 cases. I have helped bring in FBI. I've helped bring closure to 4 cases. I have done all kinds of things. If you do some research into my history, you'll find that I've done this before. And so I wanted to get online today and encourage you because the game's not over yet. The fight's not won. You're talking to a little Texas rebel who firmly believes in all of the legends and stories of the Alamo. This fight's not over. Santana is and his troops are marching onto the Alamo right now. Okay. But this is not time to back up. This is not time to stop. This is time to lock and load and get ready for a battle. Okay. So we're not done. Okay, so this is the first thing I want you guys to understand. We're not done. Sure, they have dismissed this as self-inflicted. They have dismissed this, and they aren't going to look at it. Okay, that's okay. We're not done. Okay, this is what we need to understand. The FBI is not interested in one-off cases, and this is where we need to understand that they're looking for giant cases. Now, if Derontae's case had ties to some racist terrorist organization like the Klan or something like that, then they may have paid attention. And unfortunately, they chose not to. Okay, they had an opportunity to do the right thing, and they chose not to. Now, I want you to get this too. When you see the FBI says that they're agreeing with the local law enforcement, that does not mean they were boots on the ground investigating the case. When they decide to push off a case, they will just reread the police reports. Okay. Now, everybody that has studied this case knows that everything that's just in the police report isn't the entire story. Now, for those of you that don't know, there is a gigantic hole in the concept that Derontae did this to himself. That hole has a name. That name is J.P. Parton. Okay? J.P. Parton told people that Derontae was murdered. This was not done by his own hand. He was murdered. He was also going to testify. He made this publicly available knowledge. He knew that this boy had been killed. He didn't do this. He was murdered. Okay? He told people, when the jury inquest comes, I'm going to testify and tell them the truth. Okay? J.P. Parton went missing 3 weeks later. Okay? So you cannot take Derontae Martin and say that this was self-inflicted. You can't say that he did this to himself. There's a gigantic hole in that story that can never be closed until you take care of J.P. Parton. Now, if you're looking through the police reports, see all those police reports, they tie everything up real neat in a little bow. They're going to dot their I's and cross their T's, and they're going to make those papers look nice. Okay. But we know that that's not the whole story. There is so much more information out there besides the story that is in the police reports. Okay. So until they actually close the J.P. Parton story, they cannot close. They cannot say that this was a done deal. There's no, without any reasonable doubt, beyond a reasonable doubt that he did this to himself. Okay. You cannot say that without addressing the whole elephant in the room, which is J.P. Parton. J.P. Parton is gone. Nobody knows what happened to him. Nobody can find him. And he was going to tell the truth. So we know the truth. Now, the FBI has sided with the law enforcement theory on things, but that doesn't mean we need to quit. Now, this is what we need to understand. There is a division in the FBI that can help us, and that is the Public Corruption Division, okay? The way you get their attention, and this is something, like I said, I've helped bring in FBI on other cases. I know how it's done. The way you do this, you don't send them any individual case. And this is going to sound dreadful. They don't care about any one of these cases in Madison County. They don't care about any one. But if we can take them, compile them all together, okay, show how they're all interconnected, then that is the key that we need to unlock the door to get the help we need. Okay, so what I plan on doing, and I'm taking my time. I've been knocking down one case at a time every Tuesday, one case at a time. The reason why I'm taking time, I want my team to have time to research, find all of the information that we can find to build a case on each individual one. And then each individual one connects to the other one. I was talking to one of my assistants and I said, I don't know when I'm ever going to get to the bottom of this cesspool called Madison County, because I opened one case and it's connected to 5 more, you know? And so we're not just talking about the 15 cases of mysterious deaths or missing people. I'm talking, I've got another half a dozen public corruption cases where you have law enforcement being arrested for doing things they're not supposed to be doing. You've got them put in jail for pedophilia. You've got them put in jail for assaulting a 14-year-old girl during an interrogation. You've got them stealing money from the county. You've got all of these public corruption cases that are very public knowledge. Okay. So the plan is, and this is what I want you guys to understand. We are not done yet. We are going to systematically knock one out every week. We're going to get it done. And then we're going to build a case. We're going to give them the entire puzzle. Okay. We gave them one piece, Derontae Martin's piece, and we said, here it is. Now they tried to stick it into another puzzle that it doesn't belong. It doesn't belong in that puzzle. It belongs in a massive puzzle of corruption. Now, I guarantee you, whoever looked into this case didn't ever hear anything about JP Parton. Okay. And if they did, they couldn't in good conscience write this case off. So that tells me they didn't investigate it. They haven't been doing this. Now, when you're wanting to target the FBI and try to get their attention, it helps when you know each division specializes in a specific type of case. They have basic knowledge on cases for different types of things, but each division has a specialty of a perfect little type of case. Okay. So what you need to do is you need to find what those gatekeepers are looking for and provide that to them. Okay. So basically the gatekeepers of the public corruption division, they are looking for a pattern of corruption over a long period of time. And that is what I'm planning on trying to establish. Okay. We need to establish that, look, you may not agree with us on Derontae's case, but check out JP Parton. Check out this one. Check out that one. Check out Jacob Kirkpatrick. Check out all of these cases. You add all of them in there. Then you add in all of the publicly known corruption cases. All of these things, you add them all in there, and then you show that this is established behavior for a very long period of time. That's what gets their attention. Those are the kinds of cases that will get the attention of the gatekeepers and get us some help. Okay, so that is what I am planning on doing. So I know you guys were very disheartened. You're very angry. You're very upset. You're hurt. You feel betrayed by what has happened so far. I want to encourage you tonight and tell you we're not done. Okay, the fight's not over. It's time to lock and load. We're going to hit it. We're going to hit it hard. Okay, we're not done. Okay, but I also want you to watch yourself. Okay, don't let your anger cause you to do something that they can use against you. Okay, because we're all angry. You know, we all look at those pictures of that young football player and think, what a horrible waste of a life. You know, what they took, you know, what could he have been? What could he have come? You know, I wonder if he could have been one of those with 5 Super Bowl rings. I don't know. We will never know. And that's heart-wrenching to think about that. But I ask you to stand together I ask you to take that anger and that pain and that fuel, and I want you to bottle it up and use it as fuel to keep pushing forward, to keep in this fight. Don't use the anger to lash out or cause anything that they can use against you. Because if you decide to lash out, even though you may have a right to, okay, nobody says you don't, and nobody says they would blame you. But if you lash out, they will use it against you, okay? We're in a war, and so we've got to be tactical in our behavior, okay? So when we're going through these cases, I want you guys to think about this. I want you to take in all of the information you can find, realize that some of the rumor mill's false, some of the rumor mill's true. You have to realize that there's 3 sides to every story, the truth somewhere in the middle. I want you to take all of this information in and share it amongst the groups, share it amongst the people that are fighting alongside you, okay? Because what's going to happen is we're going to be able to kick up a stink if we band together. We're not out of options yet, okay? We're not out of options. Our biggest option is to build a massive corruption case file and present that to a specific division and a specific agent in that division, okay? If we can do that and we can be compelling enough at it, we can show them that this is something that's gone on for a long time. Now, those of you that have been studying Madison County for a while, you know that there is a website out there, a genealogy website, where someone has taken the time to gather all of the murders and unsolved crime in Madison County since 1880. And you'll realize that this has been a Wild West type of neighborhood since there was a Wild West. So we need to establish this pattern of behavior and establish this over a period of time. And so people like Arctic Fox, he's on there commenting, he's doing the same thing. He's showing each case at a time, each case, how it blends with the next one. That's the kind of thing we need to do. We need to put our heads down. We're focused. We're in the trenches right now. Everybody, everything's going crazy around us. We got to get our heads down and focus. And to do that, we have to make sure that we research everything we put out every bit of information that you can verify. If you can't verify it, hang it on, hold on to it a little bit until you can verify it. Try to really get as good information as you can before you make it public. Because if we get too much false information, it can damage the case. So you really want to try to vet your information before you put it out there. So I've gotten tons and tons of comments. I'm going to go through and comment on them. Cricket, do you have anything to add to that while I'm going back through the comments?
I agree with you 100% with, you have to be smart with the anger, use it as wisdom, because we do have to bring all these cases together in order to get the FBI to look at them.
Right. Hello, Kimberly. Thank you for signing on. I've got so many.
I'm glad to hear you saying that, because it's really important. Really important for them to know this and know that they can do something, but they're not finished yet. And how can the FBI not look at all of this? There's just not.
Yeah. The Arctic Fox said, it's got a longer comment, but at the end of it, it says, I don't doubt the FBI gets a lot wrong. I don't necessarily think they get a lot wrong. I think they dismiss too much because they don't give it enough attention. If they paid attention to all of these one-off cases, they wouldn't get it wrong. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out, because there's going to be one that we talk about here in a few weeks that a guy supposedly did this to himself, again on the same property that Derontae was found on, and he rolled himself up in a carpet. Nobody shoots themselves in the head and then rolls himself up in a carpet.
And also, what the FBI got on Derontae's case is what the police gave them, which is not the actual ending of that.
Right. Well, and see, that's the thing. We've got so much more as armchair sleuths online than what anybody has available. And so this is what I find so disturbing. You cannot say that this case was investigated by the FBI, because if it was investigated by the FBI, actually investigated, I got another comment over here. I'm trying to get field comments on 4 different places because I go live 4 different places. I guarantee you, I mean, there's maybe a 10% chance. I'll say 90%. I'm 90% positive. No FBI boots ever touched Madison County soil. Just the way it goes. They looked over what the police gave them, and then they dismissed it. And this is what we need to understand. We have to get past the gatekeepers, and we have to get it into the right division to get the help. And this is where, even if that doesn't work, there's a couple other options we can do. And then if all of that fails, we just have to we have to kick up a media dust storm, so we're not out of options. And I think that's what I wanted to talk about today the most. And I know this is a little bit different type of True Crime Tuesdays. We really usually deep dive into some kind of case. But I really wanted to encourage you that the fight's not over. Okay. We're not done. My father was kind of a rough and tumble street thug before he got his life together and became a minister and changed everything. But he always said, in a street fight, it doesn't matter how many times you get hit and knocked down. It's how many times you get back up. So we've gotten hit. We've gotten hit, but we got to stand back up. And the fight's not over until we don't get up again. And I'm not done. And if I'm not done, you're not done. We're not done. And I think that's what I want to encourage everybody that's going through this, because you feel alone. You feel like, how could this happen to me? And you get to, when we're all on here together, you feel a sense of community, you feel a sense of support. But I know in the middle of the night, 2:00 in the morning, when you're by yourself, you wake up crying and you're thinking, where's everybody now when I need them? Well, just know, Synova and her team, we're there. We're there. We haven't forgotten you. We think about you all the time. I've got all of the pictures. I haven't got it finished yet, so I haven't taken a picture of my board yet to put on there, but they're not forgotten. They're up there. Derontae's up there. I picked the one with the orange hoodie, Kimberly. I picked the picture with the orange hoodie, and he's got the blue jersey on, and he's got the orange hoodie and the ball cap, because he's got a smile that
that one.
It just goes from ear to ear, and I'm like, that's the one that moved me the most. So that's the one I typed off of Facebook and printed out and put on my board. That is what we need to understand. That was a hit. That was a disaster. But we're not done. I'm not done fighting for any of those people on the board. And so that's what we got. We got today's more about encouragement. Okay, so let's see. Joanne says, how long has this been going on in Madison County? I have found cases back to 1880. There was one in 1930 that they found a partial body in a pig pen with a bullet in the head and a gun nearby. So they said that they must have done that to themselves. And they dismissed it. I'm thinking, I've never heard of anybody doing that in a pig pen. Usually when a body is in a pig pen, it is to get rid of evidence. It's not because they put themselves there. But that just kind of shows you the concept of how they solve cases over there. Marion Tate says, you give me goosebumps. We will get justice for Fredericktown, Missouri. Absolutely. And this is something that I want you guys to understand, those of you that aren't actually in the cesspool digging with us. We're talking about a very rural county, 500 square miles, just less than 500 square miles, and less than 15,000 people in the whole county. So this isn't a big, massive load of people, and yet the crime rate in that county is one of the highest in any county in the U.S. That's including counties that, Chicago and LA and all that. And yet there's only 15,000 people there. There's less than 15,000 people there. And so I'm thinking, you've got this cesspool of drugs going through there, and corruption going through there, and maybe child trafficking going through there, all kinds of cesspools of junk. And yet you've got good-hearted people trying to move out to a quiet country neighborhood to raise their kids in peace. And that is the biggest facade of this county is, oh, it's a beautiful, quiet, rural neighborhood. No, it ain't. My family was going to travel out there. They were going past there to go to something else. And I was like, don't go through Madison County. They're like, why? I was like, if you end up dead in Madison County, you're just going to get rolled over in the ditch and no one's going to care. I said, they're like, oh, you're just a true crime writer. You're paranoid. I said, absolutely not. Would you like to see my murder wall? Absolutely not. And it's sad to say that, but that is literally the statistics show that county is in the top of the most dangerous counties to live in. And it's insane. Let's see. Kimberly says, I appreciate you doing this. Absolutely, babe. Absolutely. I swear, Kimberly, if I could bring that precious baby boy back and give him to you, I would. I swear, if I had a magic wand and I could just bring him back, I swear I would. From one moment to another, I would. Tammy, go ahead.
I think your viewers would be surprised to know how much we do discuss these cases and how much time we do put in, and we're constantly, looking stuff up and,
Yeah. You guys, honestly, if you want to know the truth, I talk to Tammy and Cricket
every day.
Every day for hours. And it's always about cases. It's always about what we're going to do next. It's always about strategies, always about these things, because we're trying our best to find a way we're just trying to find. See, I have a different outlook on cases because I have written about 300. I don't really toot my own horn too much, but I've written about cases all around the U.S. I brought some closure to some cases, a series of cases in Texas, and the victim's mother was the victim's family member was so happy. She told her friend, and her friend told the governor. So the governor of Texas flew a flag over Washington, D.C. in honor of my cold case work. It's right here. Okay. So I've had a lot of experience in that kind of thing. Cricket, she's been a victim's advocate, and she's actually more into the search and rescue. So she's the boots on the ground, traipsing through the woods type, and Tammy's just an incredible research assistant. And so when it comes down to it, we have 3 different kind of outlooks that we are trying to bring to this. And then, my first book here, Unorganized Crime. If you look right there real close to in the front there, that is an endorsement by a retired FBI agent, so we've all got these strategies that we're all trying to bring in and try to bring together and get some help. I wrote out the mission statement for my company, SYNOVAINK Publishing, and I have goals and things planned out. But my whole purpose, one of the main things I put in there was to bring compassion and intelligence back to the genre of true crime, because it's gotten off to where it's just a circus about gore and how gory can you get, and how many videos can you get, and how much junk can you throw out there, and you've got a bunch of people that want to just throw garbage out there because they're more interested in making more videos. I could make more money if I made more videos. Just to be honest, if I focused on being a YouTuber, I could make a whole lot more money than if I focused on what I'm doing. I make YouTube videos and they are monetized, so it does help pay for some of the bills. But I don't focus on that. I'm trying to bring compassion and bring intelligence and, professionalism back to the genre, and so that's the reason why, we do things differently. We're taking our time. We're not just throwing out every bit of information we get. We're not rehashing the news. See, I studied a lot of psychology and self-help. I actually went into life coaching. I'm a certified life coach for victims' family members to help get them through the grieving process and reclaim some of their life. So we have a whole different agenda behind us. We want to help and get things out there that are quality content to help, not just entertain people with other people's sad stories. And so
we're never about just putting a case out there.
No, never.
We never give up on these cases. I mean, I've been boots to the ground. I've had some media legal death investigation extra credit. But we all have different skills and we all bring them together.
Yeah.
But we never give up. And
No, I've still, and this is something this is personal, so I'll apologize. I'm taking my watch off. All of these mean something. They're all for a reason. This one here is for this one right here. I got the beaded one. That is the Hero Company, which is an affiliate of mine too. I'm an affiliate of theirs. That goes to help victims that are suffering, veterans that are suffering with PTSD, helps them get service dogs. Each one of these means something. Well, there's a green one right there. That's under my watch. That one is green ribbons for Angie because her mom just died. And I promised her mom. Angie's been gone for 20 years. Okay. I'm going to keep telling the story. I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to keep doing everything I can. I'm not going to forget Angie. That's not coming off my arm until somebody finds her. And so that's what's different between us and some of the others that just put out stuff. Now let's see. Arctic Fox says, not to mention Timmy D's. Timmy D's is another one. I did a whole video on Timmy D's. Timmy D's is he called 911 saying, I need help. My friend is chasing me. I'm scared for my life. And the police show up on the scene and they see somebody that got warrants and they get distracted and they arrest that guy. They don't even look for Timmy D's. They find him 4 months later, 200 yards away, in the field. His remains are found. So I mean, you can go back through Arctic Fox's channel and my channel too, and you can see all of these just plotted out. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Barbara says, I will never lash out, but I'm not going away. And see, that's the thing. The first response is to lash out, because you're in pain, but I also know that we are battling something that they are looking for anything they can to use against you, then they can write you off. Okay. So we got to really watch our P's and Q's. I've been hearing it's called the good old boy system. There ain't nothing good about it, girl. Arctic Fox says it's the only place I've ever encountered where the sheriff is also the assistant coroner. See, now that upsets me because that is a conflict of interest. The sheriff is the assistant coroner. Well, the only person that can fire them, they're not going to fire themselves. So there's nobody there to fire her. So yeah, we've talked about that in the very first one. The police in Fredericktown need to do their job or find another one. Unfortunately, I have been told that there were occasionally good cops that come through there and they are run off. Kelly Kirkpatrick, my name's Kelly. I'm Jacob Kirkpatrick's mom. We were going to talk about Jacob tonight, and we was going to talk about how his case ties in with Ashlyn's case, but we're running out of time, and I don't want to rush it. So Kelly, keep an eye out, and we will talk about Jacob's case next week. If you want to chat with me through Messenger or something in the meantime, feel free to. Barbara says, I think the FBI is just listening to the highway patrol. Same coroner, same highway patrol, same sheriff. Oh, yeah, that's it. Venus says, I'd like more information on this case. Derontae Martin, I'll send you some links. There's quite a bit of information about Derontae Martin out there.
I tried to post a link, but I don't know if it came through or not.
Okay, let's see. RJ Fox says, sadly, there's not very much information about Nick Lowry.
No, all we know about him was that it was, and he rolled himself up in a rug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can't say the S word on YouTube. On YouTube, I can talk about homicide. I can talk. I'm working with an ex special cop. He was he was out of Kansas City, and he was on special task force to take down the mafia out of Kansas City. And we are working on a series of podcasts and videos for YouTube about serial killers. And we've been talking about dismemberments. We've been talking about all this horrible, grotesque stuff. And YouTube don't care, but you can't say the S word. So I'm like, this is ridiculous. There's not much information about, like, yeah, I read that one. No, and the thing is you can't get shot in the head and then roll yourself up in the carpet. And who rolls people up in carpets anyways? That's in the movies. You know? Kimberly says, I'm definitely not done. Absolutely heartbreaking. No, and Kimberly, I just want you to know that everybody on this video is with you.
Yes.
And if anybody had the ability to just finish it for you, we would. You know, so just want to let you know we're there. We're standing with you. Well, and see, someone Get a Look See is on YouTube and says yes, and it's a fact the FBI will not get involved unless the sheriff asks for their assistance. Absolutely. And see, the thing is, the only work around that rule is the corruption department. Okay, but to get the corruption department involved, the corruption division, you have to be very meticulous and you have to have a strategy. And I have one. It's just going to take some time, going to take some work. I know how to do it, and I'm working on it. But it takes some time. Okay. Barbara says, thank you for what you're saying and telling us families today, because we get really discouraged. I know you do. And I know you do. And you have suffered so much trauma. And what's so bad about it, the trauma itself is devastating. But until you get that case closed, okay, until you get that answer that you need, until you find the missing loved one, or you get justice for your family member, you can't cycle through the grief process. So the trauma just continues over and over and over. And that's what, we're all fighting for. We're all fighting to try to help get to that point to where you can work through the trauma. Because you're never going to have closure. I hate that word, closure. There's no closure.
No, you get answers.
You can't cycle through the grief process either until that trauma isn't constantly just continuing. The trauma has to end. Then you can start working about releasing the trauma and getting pieces of your life back. And so that's the reason why it's so devastating. It just continues on and on. Arctic Fox says, I've lost countless hours of these cases, countless hours of sleep over these Missouri cases, and I won't stop till families get justice. Absolutely. Arctic Fox, maybe we can do a collaboration on something, because I appreciate what you do. Let's see. Hello, Sonova. Hello.
That's what the law enforcement needs to do. You mentioned it earlier. They won't get together and cooperate with each other.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me that. That is, was talking to Tammy earlier today in one of the many conversations that we've had. And I was saying that I believe is the biggest problem we have in our law enforcement of all sorts. The biggest problem we have as law enforcement in the United States There's no legislation that requires different divisions and different departments to work together. Nothing. They all have to agree to work together. So you have to set away egos, and you have to set away all these things. And you get so many little podunk departments that they push out the FBI. They won't allow the John Benet Ramsey case. I have some information on that. I have some videos I haven't in my archives that I haven't uploaded again yet. But all of that could have been solved earlier because the FBI was pounding down the doors and they wouldn't let them in because they're like, no, this is our case. It ain't yours. Well, you get your ego out of there and focus on the case and forget who solves it. I don't care if I'm the one that finds Angie. I don't care. I don't have to find her.
We just
take this green ribbon off. Somebody needs to find her. And that's where we need to. I wish we could pass some legislation that requires all divisions of law enforcement to work together, whether they like it or not. Because I can give you an example. I had an ex-gangster as a co-host on my first true crime podcast, and his name was Hootie Rosso. Okay, he had 800 different agents, law enforcement agents, after him from all different types of law enforcement. They put a task force together, 800 people, to take down him and his crew out of the mafia. And I'm sitting here going, if we had 100 to come in, they could just clean out Madison County, but we can't get 2 people to work together, and so that's where I think that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, the competition has to stop.
Yeah. Barbara Hall says, it's a beautiful little town. I will say that it's just that people don't know what happens at night when the lights go down. And see, that's what makes me so sad. People look at it and they think, oh, it's just a nice country little town, and there's a lot of people in there that are good-hearted people, but they're sitting there traumatized. Because they're afraid to say anything, and that's where, what we've got to do. We've got to keep going and encourage people to work together. Okay, I've got more comments. Cricket, do you have anything to say? Okay. Hello,
No.
Get a Look-See. Hello, I knew you. Barbara Hall, Marion Tate. If I haven't said your name, I'm sorry. I've got so many coming in. Cricket, say something.
I also know now you have to have a lot of information which we're collecting while doing these cases. We had brought, this wasn't with Sonova, but this was a fraudulent person, and we sent at least 100 pages to the attorney generals, and they said, "Oh, this is more than enough to investigate," and they did nothing.
Yeah.
So that's we have to keep.
Yeah. Well, and two, if you can lay out the puzzle for them.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Because then nobody wants to work. We got to do the work for them.
Well, and we already have, so why waste time? Here.
Yeah.
What about the attorney general?
That's another option. Yeah, that's another option. But you also have to say, I'm not so sure. Some of that, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, that wouldn't work in this case.
I'm not so sure that our attorney general, there isn't a picture of him with Sheriff McCutcheons on Facebook.
Oh.
Your hand. Now, I don't know, that may have just been a campaign photo. But
could have been. Yeah, you just have, I mean, around this, you have to be careful because you don't know who to trust. And that's the hard part, but it's not going to stop us.
Yeah. Let's see. Arctic Fox says John Benet crime scene was completely mishandled. Absolutely. Completely.
Oh, yeah.
And I have some behind the scenes information on that. The main suspect has been in the case file from the beginning, but they didn't want to hear Lou Schmidt's information. So they dismissed it. And Lou Schmidt, the main suspect is in Lou Schmidt's report. from the very beginning. Let's see. Well, if there's corruption, there's not going to be anyone to ask to. Well, if there's corruption, they're not going to ask somebody to assist them. No, they're not.
No.
Get a look. See says I went many times with the highway patrol in the county of Madison, and not once did they have a warrant. Kimberly says nope. She was endorsed by the governor. Oh, that's good information.
Okay, good.
The Attorney General of Missouri referred the families back to the local jurisdiction. Absolutely. See, this is where I wanted to kind of educate you guys on how the process works. Not one of these cases is going to get anybody's attention. We have to establish a whole case file, a whole collection of corruption, and send that in. Okay, that's, because he says the Attorney General referred the families back to their local jurisdiction. They're going to. They're not interested in one-offs cases. And so, yeah, we have to establish a pattern of behavior, a problem, that shows how massive the corruption is. And that is what's going to get the attention. Joanne says every department involved wants to take credit for solving, if in fact they ever solve anything. That's true. Says there's barely any Black people in Fredericktown, Missouri, not even 1%. I don't understand that. I was talking to Tammy today. I was raised that skin color is irrelevant. You literally, with the little children's church song where red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in his sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world. And that's the way we're supposed to be. And, when it comes down to it, all of that, we're all so alike and we're all so different. We're all unique, but we're all the same. That's what makes the world such a wonderful place. And so, I was telling, I think it was Tammy I was talking to. Tammy, was I talking to you about my heritage? Was it you I was talking to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm actually partially Apache Indian. You can tell by these huge cheekbones. I have just enough Apache Indian in me, and Apache Native American is the official, I have just enough Apache in me that I tan up, and my skin color changes. When I tan seriously, like I used to, I would change 4 to 5 shades in my foundation every summer. So I'm like, what? You're going to discriminate against me because I'm darker skinned in the summer when I have a nice tan and I look like a blue-eyed Indian? Or are you going to discriminate me when I get so pale in the summer, in the wintertime, that my hair color looks too dark for my skin? So to me, all of that is just, I don't understand. It doesn't compute to me. But there are people out there in Fredericktown and otherwise that still hold on to those asinine concepts. And I don't understand it. I don't understand. I really don't. Let's see. I'm getting so many comments. Barbara says, yes, I have a letter to prove it. I'm not sure what she's meaning there. We bleed red, but I don't think Fredericktown, Missouri thinks that way. I'd say there's people in that town that don't think that way. But I think I still have a hope that there's good-hearted people in there that just can't do nothing about it. Okay, Barbara says the picture with the Attorney General is old. He's been voted in as a senator. They have a new Attorney General, Andrew Bailey. Okay, we'll look into it. Arctic Fox says JW is a known white supremacist. I believe that Derontae's death was racially motivated. I don't know if it was racially motivated or if it was just the fact that Derontae was a good kid and Derontae was there. And Derontae had something that those people did not have. He had a life. He had a football scholarship. He had a job. He had
He was gone.
he had a reason to be here and a reason to live. And I think they looked at him and they hated him because he had something they didn't have. And they took his life for it because he didn't want to get involved in whatever BS they were doing that night. And I really think that when it come down to it, he was a good guy and he didn't want to get involved and he wanted to leave. They wouldn't let him leave and they killed him for it. That's what I believe. Okay. Yes, I'm talking about the people involved in the case for Derontae. Absolutely. Absolutely. And see, that's the thing. When it comes down to it, the hate crime division is looking for an organization behind the case. And I don't think the person responsible for this has a massive organization behind them. I think they were selfish individuals that hated Derontae for various reasons, including the fact that he was a good guy. And they didn't like that. They didn't like that he didn't want to be there. They didn't like that he didn't want to be involved in whatever they were doing. And they hated him for it. And they killed him for it. And that's where I think it is. And when it comes down to it, every time someone is killed, it's a hate crime. But that doesn't necessarily get the FBI's attention. And so to me, I feel like when it didn't work that way, and I wasn't surprised, but I didn't feel like it was my place to say, don't try, So I just kept my mouth shut and I kept working because I feel like if it would have worked and they would have got in, then great. I don't care who gets in and solves it as long as somebody does, so I didn't feel like I wasn't surprised by the news. I didn't feel like it was going to work. But like I said, I didn't feel like it was my place. Grieving families, they're desperate for help in any way possible. And unfortunately, that also makes them easy targets for people, con men and things like that. So you want to be careful about that. But I wasn't surprised by the ruling. And I'm still working. That's the whole point of this video is I wasn't surprised. We're still working and we got a plan. Okay. All right. All right. I have 3 books here. I'm trying to decide which one I'm going to give away tonight. And I appreciate all of you guys getting on. I really do. It makes the video so much better when you have comments from the audience. It really makes it good. So, Shattered is a case files book. It's got 23 cases that I wrote about on my blog back in 2018. It's got all kinds of some famous cases, some rural cases that you may have never heard of. Grim Justice is actually a free ebook that I give away, the free ebook for anyone who signs up for my mailing list. But this is actually a hard copy. And then there is Snatched. Snatched is a case files book from 2017. I was writing about all kinds of art crimes and museum thefts. So I'm trying to decide which book to give away. All right. I'm going to let these families shouldn't have to spend $5,000 or whack on second autopsies. A lot of these families. Well, see, that's the thing. You should never have to pay for an autopsy. It should already be done, and it should be done properly. Nobody should ever have to go and foot the bill to have another one done. It should be done right the first time, So no, I'm right there with you. Okay, I think tonight I'm going to give away the Shattered book because I've got a few of those. Now I am going to update this. And I'm going to be putting out more. I'm going to put some more cases in this and update it because there's been some updates to a few of these cases. But I've only got I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've only got 5 of these left. And so after these are gone, the whole book's going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to give away this one, I think, so I can get them off my shelf. Arctic Fox says, I greatly appreciate what you're doing, Sonova. I appreciate what you're doing too. We all need to band together and help any way that we can. I tell people, I can't guarantee anything. I don't have a badge and a gun. All I have is the ability to write and the ability to market. I know how to market things online. At one time, before I stepped away and started studying other things and come back, I had a potential viewership of 500,000 people. I know how to push things online and build an audience. I have a whole book to teach authors how to build an audience. So that's all I have. I have a very empathetic heart. I know how to research, I know how to write, and I know how to market. And so I can just use those things. That is the only tools I have. But at least that strangers can care, and at least that somebody's standing with you in the trenches when the whole world's coming down on your head. Okay. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and give away this book. Okay. Cricket, I want you to pick a number between 1 and 35.
25.
25. Okay. Cricket, say something while I find the 25 who signed on as the 25th.
Something I was thinking about too, that if we can prove with getting these cases together that the coroner messed them up, then all her cases or his have to be reinvestigated and redone.
We have the coroner's name, and he did Jacob Kirkpatrick's, he's done Derontae's, he's done Michaela Jones, he's done several, and I brought up in the first video I did about Derontae. If you understand what an autopsy is just a report of the state of a body. Okay. And one thing that I know that you should be able to get that autopsy thrown out is if they don't mention the surgical scars on his arm, on his dominant arm in that autopsy, because it's supposed to mention everything. However that state of that body is, inside and out, they are supposed to document everything. So that's one thing one little kind of loophole that you can kind of look in. If they didn't document his surgical scars, then should be able to throw that out. Okay. All right. So we are looking for a number. Tammy, do you have anything else to say while I'm looking? I got distracted by more comments. I'm sorry.
I'm just glad for the encouragement for the mothers and the family. I think they needed to hear that.
Yeah.
And I think something will be done. It might just take some time, but
yeah, it is. Okay. All right. 25th person to sign on was Marion Tate. Marion Tate, send me a message through Messenger with your address, and I will sign this to you and send it to you. Marion Tate, send me your address, and I will mail you out a book. Every Tuesday, I'm going to be giving out a different book, so I appreciate you guys signing on, and I will. Arctic Fox says, I've seen Timmy D's remains and nobody will ever convince me it wasn't foul play. Arctic Fox, let's do a video on that if you want to, because I've seen it too. And there's some very suspicious things with that skull that absolutely do not fit together. So Arctic, if you want to reach out to me, we can maybe do a video on that, because I am right there with you. I am 100% right there with you. I agree. If you look at that, there's just so many things. We won't get into it because the show's supposed to be less than an hour and it's already over an hour. Okay, so Marion Tate, you guys got this. Guys, I appreciate it. You guys want to say anything before we sign off?
Just to remind you, everyone, that we are with you. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how we roll.
Absolutely. I'm a Texas rebel. I'm right there on the Alamo wall. I'm going to fight until I can't no more. That's just all there is to it. Yeah. And that's just the way that's just the way I work, and my team's the same way. We got some more comments. Have a great evening. Thank you. All right, guys, we're going to drop off. We will be out of here. I'm going to go ahead and run the end credits of the show. Feel free to message me if you have information on a case that you want me to cover. I do have a case submission form on my website that kind of helps keep track of things. And we'll see you next Tuesday night for another True Crime Tuesday. Bye, guys.